What's up, guys? Welcome to the Spaanify DSC UCT webinar. This is just going to be a quick recap of what we covered in the webinar. Unfortunately, I couldn't record the session, so I have to redo it, but it's fine. It's great. I'll be able to give a little bit more attention to details. So I'll just skim through everything we covered in the webinar again. Yeah, remember I told you guys that we're doing this webinar in collaboration with the DSC. The main aim is to teach you guys practical mobile development skills that you can actually take home and implement right away. At the end of this session, we are going to try and actually build a fully working app, right? So let me just recap what was covered again. I'll try not to spend too much time on it, but I'll just recap. How do I get this to present? There we go. Okay, cool. So as I said, this is a Spaanify initiative. My name is Kopano Mariri. I am the CEO of Qubit Engineering Solutions. It's a software consultancy company where we create applications for startups, corporates, and private individuals. So in terms of mobile development, it is something that I've luckily enough been exposed to very heavily. And I'll just be sharing some of the insights that I've learned I started off as a developer and eventually obviously starting my own company. This initiative again, guys, it's in conjunction with the DSC, the Developer Student Club, UCT. So we do thank them for helping us out. It was a great partnership. The first day of the webinar went great. And yeah, hopefully we'll be able to create more of these things. Cool. Guys, what is Spaanify? Spaanify is a challenge-based platform that allows South African youth to gain practical work experience. By this, I mean you can download the app and start completing challenges. Once you've completed a challenge, you get a certificate. Then you can take the certificate when you go apply for work and say that I've actually worked on a real-life project by making reference of the challenge that you did in the app. Cool. So guys, like I said, I don't want to spend too much time on introductions. I want to get straight into it. And yeah, let's do it. Hope you guys are ready. What is Flutter? So Flutter basically is a mobile framework developed by Google. The reason why Flutter is so popular is because it allows you to code for 3 code bases: iOS, Android, and web. Hence why Flutter is so popular. So it's a plugin that you can get on Android Studio and VS Code. It is free, so you don't necessarily have to pay anything or cent to use it, which is cool. It's open source as well, meaning you can, it's open source, meaning anyone can make changes to it. It was released in 2017, and it's built upon the Dart language. So yeah, Flutter is really cool. It allows you to create amazing, very user-centric applications. Also, the speed of development is just crazy. There's a lot of benefits that you guys get with developing with Flutter. There's a lot of support as well. It's one of the it's a language that has the most growth according to Stack Overflow. So a lot of people ask, why would you use Flutter instead of, for example, React Native or Ionic? Well, the main reason is just the ease of use first and foremost, and what can I call it? Just it's smooth. It's very smooth. It renders graphics at 60 frames per second. So yeah, it's very, very smooth, and the animations are great. Since we are living in a world where people care more about the UI at times than the backend, I believe Flutter is a great alternative for people just starting out with mobile development as well. Okay, great. Why should you learn Flutter? So I believe the reason why you should learn Flutter is because it's a growing language, and the demand for Flutter developers first and foremost will increase. So it is a great skill to have currently. It's still not very mainstream, which is what makes it so beautiful again. The demand is just going to keep on growing for Flutter developers. It's a great skill to have, and as well, like I said, it was meant for productivity. As I said, instead of now having to develop for 3 platforms, Android, iOS, and web, you develop on one code base, and then you would get your app, your platform. Code once, have it on 3 platforms. Basically, that's why it's so cool. The benefits of Flutter, I think definitely one of the core benefits is how fast it is to develop an application. You can develop an application as, for example, we're going to develop a fully working application in 3 days. And the application I am going to be developing, you could actually go out and sell it and start making income. So just the ease of how easy it is to get an app running for all 3 platforms, that's definitely why that's definitely a benefit. It is much cheaper to develop apps using Flutter. It's compared to other platforms as well, and it's beautiful. Like I said, the UI, the way you can personalize the UI, the amount of UI widgets that you have available makes your life easier as a developer or an aspiring developer. Cool. Let's see. Yeah, guys, please follow us on social media at Spaanify, at DSC_UCT. We can follow Qubit Engineering as well. Qubit Engineering on Instagram, Qubit Engineering on LinkedIn as well. So yeah, guys, please reach out and yeah, give us some love. Cool. Guys, so I'm gonna get straight into it. The first thing we are going to do is we're gonna go download Android Studio. So just go to Google and search Android Studio, download. Click on the second link. Click on the second link. This is a screen that you should see. For those who do have Android Studio, cool. You can skip the step. For those who don't, you will need an IDE to start using Flutter. The IDE of choice for me is Android Studio. But you can use VS Code as well. A lot of developers prefer VS Code. I personally prefer Android Studio just because it was made by Google, so Flutter is also a Google product, so they integrate very easily. That's just my opinion. I'm just comfortable with this. You guys can use anything you want. So you'd click the download Android Studio button. It is a big download, 871 megabytes, so it will take a little bit of time to download, so give it time. Okay, once you've downloaded Android Studio, you would let me just show you guys. Once you've downloaded Android Studio, you should see a screen like this. Basically, this is Android Studio, so I'm not going to necessarily re-download it, but this is the screen that you should see once you actually ran Android Studio. So guys, we have shared a resource pack for you guys. Basically, it just explains how you can download Android Studio, where to get it from, how to install Flutter. It has basic components. So I just want to open it up and show you guys quickly. Just give me a second. Give me a second, guys. I'm just trying to open up the resource pack so you guys can actually see how it looks. Let's see. Okay, cool. Found it, I think. Let me see. Yep. Wait, no, did not find it. Sorry, guys. I'm just looking for the resource pack. Where is it? Where is the resource pack? But yeah, basically it just outlines everything you might need to get started. It is important you did spend some time on it, so please go through it. It should have been shared by you via email, but I'll link it as well in the description of the video, I guess. So I'm just going to show you guys how it looks like. Yeah, so this is a cool resource pack that we compiled for you guys. It has basically just instructions of how to get started, how do you download your IDE with Visual Studio Code. That's how you do it. And you can actually get started with Android Studio as well. Here it is. So you'd start on Android Studio, you'd open plugin, you'd go to configure, preferences, you'd select Flutter, the plugin, and you'd click install, click yes when prompted, restart, and restart your whole IDE, and yeah, Flutter should be running. So just go through this, guys. It'll explain exactly how to install the IDE. For the sake of time, I'm not going to go through it. It's going to take me a little bit of time if I have to go through it again. So I'm just going to skip that step. But once you've gotten set up, the way you can check is by going to Tools. You should see this little option here at the bottom that says Flutter. If you don't see this, it means Flutter wasn't configured correctly. So just make sure you have this. If not, just try and refollow the steps, or contact us or comment in the description, and we'll try and assist you somewhere or somehow. Okay, cool. I hope you guys are still following. If not, please comment. Leave a comment. I will look at the comments and reply thereafter. Okay, cool. So I just want to show you guys the app will be actually building using Flutter. Don't get overwhelmed by this code. I will explain each and every line what it does. So don't necessarily worry. We will start from scratch. But just to show you how the app looks like so far, or how the app is supposed to look like rather. So this is the app we're going to try and build. It's a calendar app. So first and foremost, I get an introduction screen, and then I can sign in. So I'm just going to sign in. Or let's create a new account. I'm going to click sign up. Introduced to this screen here. I can then let me maximize it for you guys here. I'm going to type an email. So I'm just going to use one of my emails, password. So guys, this is the actual app we will be building during the 3-day webinar. I'm just going to use something dumb. Poor design flow. Quick tip. Usually you don't want to make your passwords publicly available. So just a quick tip. You always want to make these hidden, but for the sake of, it's a demo, so I don't really care. Sign up. And this is what we will be introduced with. Okay, so basically, I am getting an error. Just hold on. Let us see why this error is popping up. Interesting. Interesting. Hold on, guys. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Just a little bit of a problem. There was a little bug on the app, but I did fix it. So anyway, let me continue. Let's see, am I still recording? Okay, yeah. So this is the app we're actually going to be building. It is a calendar app. Basically, I'm able to add tasks. I'm able to edit, delete tasks. So for example, if I go to the bottom right and I click this button, I can actually add a to-do task. Maybe like, let's say, take out trash. Yes, take out trash. Right? Then I'm going to say today, for example. I'll click confirm. And can you see how it added a task for today? I can also go to tomorrow, for example, and add another task. Go to school, for example. Go to school. Tomorrow, confirm. The task gets added on the tomorrow node, right? How cool is that? Then I can also edit the task, for example, and say, nope, school's not important. also cross it out. I can edit, I can cross it out. Everything is stored in the cloud, meaning basically that if I am to use another device, I can still make access of my to-dos basically. So if I'm to lose my phone, if my phone is to get stolen, all this is saved on the cloud and I still do have access to it. I can also add notes for, so let's say we wanted to add in July 1st, right? You could actually add a reminder. I'll just add this, for example, confirm. And if I'm to go to June 1st, game, was it June 1st? I hope it was June 1st. Yeah, there's my task again that I just added. So it's pretty cool. You guys will actually be able to use this in your day-to-day lives. I think it's pretty cool. And hopefully you guys can find some sort of value into it. So this is what the app will actually be building. I hope you guys are excited. And without further ado, let's get right into it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's get right into it. So this is your IDE, guys. This is basically what you should see once you've installed Android Studio. This is what you should see. This is the default view of a Flutter project. So anyway, to create a Flutter project, let me just show you guys. You'd go to File, you'd go to New, you go to New Flutter project. So you click there. You would be you would see 4 options: Flutter application, Flutter plugin, Flutter package, and Flutter module. We're going to be solely focused on Flutter application for this course, but you do have other options in terms of Flutter plugin. This is if in the event that you want to create a new plugin for the other developers to use. Flutter package, this is in the event you want to create a package. Developers again. Flutter module, you don't have to worry about this. The one we want is Flutter application. Thereafter, I would click next. I would click Flutter app. Yeah, so I have project name, I have Flutter SDK part, I have project location, I have description. Flutter, so let me just explain what each of them does. So project name is where you'd enter the name of the actual project. So here I could say, for example, let's call it calendar, right? Just in terms of Flutter, there are naming conventions that you do have. For example, everything has to be small letters, and there can't be any spaces in your name or else the app won't work. So this, for example, would not work. Just make sure everything is small letters and there's no spaces in between. You have Flutter SDK path as well. An SDK basically contains, for those who don't know what an SDK is, an SDK basically is the brain of your application. It contains all the nitty-gritty tricks to make your application run. Just make sure that you do have an SDK. If you don't, just click this button and it should download the latest Flutter SDK for you. If you download it manually, you'd click here and you'd go to where your Flutter SDK is saved. Make sure to go in, so don't select this. So let's say this is where the Flutter SDK is stored. Don't select this, select the Flutter folder and then click OK. Your project location, this is where you would actually store your project. You have description. This is the name basically of your project. Thereafter, you click next, and then you'd be prompted by this. This is now where you have to select a package name for your application. So a package name basically is a unique identifier that's unique across all projects that are on the Play Store. So a package has to be unique. There can't be an existing package with the same name. If there is, you're going to get an error if ever you want to upload to the Play Store. So just make sure that this is nice and long and unique. So if it's the first time you're running, Android Studio is probably going to ask you for a domain name. and then once it's asked you for a domain name, it'll generate like a new package name for you, and then you can just make changes to it. But again, just make sure it's normal. I mean, not normal. Sorry, just make sure it's unique. Then you have Android X. Android X is a it's basically Android. How can I explain it? Um, you don't have to worry about it too much. But Android X is it's just a new way Android is trying to process um, the code. So use it. Leave this as is. You have platform channel language. Um, leave Kotlin support. You have this includes Swift support for iOS code. So if you're also going to develop for iOS, which I'm guessing a lot of us are probably going to want to do, you would leave this as is. If you only want to develop for Android, you can uncheck this box. And then you would click finish, and Android Studio would compile your project for you. And this is the screen that you'll be greeted with. Cool. Okay, cool. So let me just quickly explain what everything does here. Again, it might, if this is the first time you've opened Android Studio, I know it seems overwhelming. There's just a lot going on. It's just very confusing. So yeah, don't worry too much about it. We have all these options here that I'm going to explain. We have our controls here, which are also quite straightforward, but I'll explain them. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to explain what all this is. Yeah, so this is your project file. All your code, everything is stored in this little node here. Also, just make sure that, so this is if I want to change my view, just make sure it's on project. So you do have Android, open files, all this. Just make sure it's on project. Sometimes by default it might be on Android, and it will basically hide certain things that we might need. So just always make sure it's on project. Okay, cool. You have external. Okay, no. Go in. So you'd click this button here. You would have dot tool. You don't have to worry about this too much, but it is basically where the dot compiler is stored. You have idea, the idea folder. Don't have to worry about this too much as well. You have Android. This we're going to be making use of quite heavily. This is in the event that you want to edit your Android file. So all my Android packages, all my Android, my APKs, they're stored in this folder. So if I was to take this, this is an Android, these are the Android files that are used to compile an Android APK. If I want to access my APK, an APK being the executable for an Android device, I'd go to app. Okay, but there won't be an, let me just see, there might be source name. No. Where would you go again? It's bold, sorry. App source name. Okay, so I haven't built my project, so I won't have access to the APK. But once I've built it, the APK will be generated. Actually, it will be generated. It will be in here, sorry, my APK. You have assets here. So this was manually created by me. If you probably won't see this folder, but just create it if you can. You'd create a new folder by going right-click, new, directory, and then you'd enter the name. So assets is where we're going to put all our pictures and all that. We have build. Build is where all my executables are stored. So my APK is actually stored here. I just got a little confused earlier on. APK. Yeah, so here's my little APK that I can use to distribute to people. Every time I run my app, this is the executable that gets injected into the phone. So you guys can actually access this by right-clicking and saying, show in Explorer. And it'll take you to where your APK is stored. Cool. You have iOS. iOS is, this is the iOS project files. So anyone who's had experience developing with Xcode, they'll be familiar with this. So if ever you want to make changes to your iOS application, you want to make native changes to it, you would play around with the iOS folder here. You should not need to, since dot is a code base that will inject all the code inside this. So you won't necessarily need to go play around with this. But for those who want to tinker and add custom functionality, you can go into these folders, iOS and Android. You have lib. Lib is the core of our Dart application. This is where we store all of our Dart files and our code, basically. We're going to be making heavy use of this. You have test, you don't have to worry about this. You have git ignore, this is a git file. Those who've used git will know what it is. It just basically ignores certain files when you upload to git. You have metadata, this is just details about my application, .packages. This is every time I download a package, it goes into the .packages file. So in the event that I upload my file to git, if I run okay, how would I explain it? If I run pubspec.get, this is invoked, and it would download the packages that are in this particular folder, this particular file. I hope you guys understand. So .packages is in the event that you want to share your code without having to share all the packages that you already have, because packages can be big, like a gig, 2 gigs. So just by sharing this .packages file, and if someone runs this application, let me just open it. If someone runs this application, it will get that details of the .packages and download all these packages that are in here. You have your practice.iml, you don't have to worry about that. Your pubspec.log, this is again for your packages. We're not going to make use of this file, but sometimes you might have to delete this file because it might give you problems in terms of packages clashing. Excuse me. So do not worry too much about it, you can leave it. You have pubspec.yaml. This file is very important. This is basically the brains of the application. Not the brains per se, let me say the skeleton. We have different options. We have a name. This is where I can name my project. Do not change this. You can change it, but don't. If you change this, it will change the name for the iOS file and the Android file, and it will lead to runtime errors. So just leave it as is. If you want to change the name, desperately, you can just Google how to change a package name in Flutter, but leave this as is. Description, this you can change. This is just the description of the app that goes to the readme.md file if ever you upload to Git. So that's, you can change that. Your version, this is the version of your code. If ever I want to upload to the Play Store, I'll just increment this number like this. So this would be version 1.0.3. So since the first version, I'm just going to leave it as +1. You have SDK. This tells you which SDK you're using. Dependencies. This is what dependencies you're using. This comes by default, so you don't have to worry too much about this. What's more important is here. So this would be how you add packages in Flutter. You'd add a package by, press enter. You'd say, let's say we want to add Firebase to our project. Let's say Firebase, whatever it might be, just like that. And this would basically add a package to my project. So this comes by default. Cupertino icons it's just cool little, very user-friendly icons for iOS. So this comes by default. You can take it out, but I like using it. They do make our application look much prettier. Guys, just another thing. With Flutter, the pubspec.yaml file is indent sensitive. So it's 1, 2. Make sure that there's 2 spaces before you declare a package. Make sure it's 1, 2, then you can declare a package. 1, 2, then you can declare a package. This, for example, let's say there was an actual package called JKGK. Let's say there was a pack. There's not, but let's say there was, and now I wanted to add this. This would give me an error. this would not run because it's not indented correctly. What I'd have to do is click tab and make sure that it's in line with this Flutter. Can you guys see how we have this little line here? It's very faint. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but all my code has to be in line with here. All the packages I add. Right. I hope that's clear. Cool. Once we've added our packages, guys, you want to run pubspec.get. Pubspec.get basically gets it updates the project, and it injects this library that we've added into our Android and our iOS files as well. Remember how I said with Flutter it's one code base? So yeah, our pubspec.yaml file will allow us to inject different packages into different frameworks, iOS and Android. Yeah. Thereafter, with dev dependencies, this leave as is. We're not going to touch that. We have this again. Use material design to true. We want to leave that. This lets us use the material design libraries to create our apps. We want to leave that to true. And yeah, that's basically a pubspec.yaml file. Cool. So guys, the first file that's executed would be the main dot. This is the first file, as I can say, that's executed when we first run our application. So this is what you should see by default. It does look overwhelming a little bit. I will clear everything. I will start all over and show you guys exactly how we got to this point. So do not worry too much about that. Okay, let's actually do that. So I am going to delete. Okay, cool. So guys, with Flutter, there's actually there's two types of widgets, right? In Flutter, everything is a widget, first and foremost. Every single thing you're going to do and deal with, you're going to be accessing a widget of some sort. Yeah, everything you do is a widget. And what is a widget? Basically, a widget is just a container of code that has certain characteristics about it. That's what a widget is. So what this makes so powerful is that if everything is a widget, that means I can create a widget that inherits 1,000 other widgets and let that just be one widget and actually start using that one particular widget. So that makes it very, very, very powerful. The reusability of Flutter is, yeah, it's immense. That's why I'm a fan of it again. Cool. So let's start coding. Wait, before actually, let me explain two very important concepts. In Flutter, you have what's called a stateful widget. You have what's called a stateless widget as well. I'm just going to say. You have what's called a stateless widget as well, right? What's a stateless widget? What's a stateful widget? A stateful widget is a widget that you can make use of in the event that you want to, let's say you have code that you need to change on your page. That would be a stateful widget. Okay, let's do this. A stateless widget is in the event that you do not have any code that needs to be updated on your page. So like a splash screen, if you want to create a splash screen, for example, you'd use a stateless widget. We cannot refresh a page, for example, with a stateless widget. It's static. There's very little we can do actually with a stateless widget. A stateful widget lets our code to be dynamic. It allows us to update our page. It allows us to add more code on runtime. And yeah, basically that's what the difference. So all widgets in Flutter are either stateful or stateless, right? They fall into these two categories. So I'm just going to delete this. So at first, I'm going to create what's called a stateless widget. So guys, just a cool shortcut. If you type st, you'll get st full, st im, st less. So st less is stateless, stateful. So if you press enter, it will also generate, a class for you, a stateless class for you. But let's start a little bit. Let's not skip anything, right? So we say class. Yeah, sorry. We'd say class, right? We'd call this class my app, and it would extend a stateless widget, right? So this is the first container we've created, basically. So I get an error here, and the reason being is that I'm missing a concrete implementation. Let's just check. Yeah, see, I'm missing a concrete application of type build. So every stateless or stateful widget needs a build section, just like that. So the way I got that, guys, is I just typed build, right? I just typed build, and it will auto generate the code for me. Why doesn't it want now? It's getting stage fright. There we go. Yeah, and it will auto generate the code for me. And can you see that error goes away? Cool. So now it's throwing an unimplemented error. In the webinar, we did have a couple of questions of what's an unimplemented error. This is so my app doesn't necessarily. It's just basically going to throw an error. It's going to throw a red screen, what's called a red screen of death, or I call it a red screen of death. If you leave it like this, as you can see, for those who programmed before, you can see that this thing is actually a function, right? A function that returns a type of widget. So we need to actually return a widget. So I'll delete that and I'll say return. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce the first widget we're going to be working with, which is called a material app. Which is called material app. I'd click here in the center, I'd press enter, I'd go up, and so material app, let me explain what material app. Material app basically sets the theme for our whole application. This is one of the main widgets that you're going to be using. It allows us to set a title for our application. It allows us to set the theme. It allows us to set where the home page is. It's basically the start of any Flutter application that you want to create. You don't have you have to have a material app to be able to show where your home is, like I said, change the title of the application and whatnot. So with Flutter, you can press Control, you can hover on it. You'll be shown all these different options, right? You'll be shown all these different options. So the first one I'm actually going to make use of is what's called title. Title basically is the name of the application. Title is the name of the application. So what do we want to name our application? Calendar. Guys, if it seems as if I'm pausing, I'm doing a lot of things. If there's a little bit of like an awkward silence, I do apologize for that. Sometimes things don't necessarily go, they don't run the first time. So I do have to quickly try and think of a way to solve them while I'm recording, while I'm coding. So just forgive me for that if there are any awkward silences. Yeah. Okay. What else do we want to do? So with the material app, we have access to several options. Like I said, we can change the theme. So let's actually change the theme of our application by saying theme. And what type does theme take? So let's say I'm not sure what parameter this thing takes. I can press Control, hover here, and it'll actually tell me that this parameter takes a theme data, right? Can you see how it says theme data there? This takes a string. The title takes a type of string, hence why I passed the string here, right? Theme takes theme data. So I have to pass a widget of type what? Theme data. Cool. So theme data is it's a widget on its own as well. So I have a widget inside of a widget, and with Flutter everything is very nested. So now I need to customize my theme data. So if I press Control and I go inside theme data, I'll be shown all these options I have access to in terms of the theme. I can change a lot of things, guys. I can apply a dark mode. I can apply the brightness, how bright I want my app to be. So you do really have a lot of options. But for this course, I'm going to be making use of just 3. First one is primary color. This is the color of the primary color of my application, my whole application throughout. Then I'm going to set a color. If I want to set a color, I type colors actually, dot, and I have access to all these different colors. I'm going to say blue accent, comma. Then we have accent color, right? You'd say colors, dot, I'm going to use amber. Then you have accent color brightness. This is how bright you want your accent color to be. I'm just going to say brightness. Guys, you don't really need this, eh? This line, you don't really need it too much. I like putting it, but you don't really need it. This one is the most important for your theme. This sets the primary color of your theme. So this is more important, definitely. Okay, cool. Once we've done that, we have to set a home parameter. So I have to tell Flutter, when this app is launched, where is my home? So in my case, I'm going to say login. Right. So this isn't a Flutter. This is a class that I'm going to have to create. This isn't a Flutter widget. This is a class that I'm going to create. Right. So that's why it's throwing an error. So you can just ignore that for now. I will create a class. Guys, also, can you see how I have this class here? So there's a reason for this. I haven't told Flutter that at runtime run this particular application yet. I've declared everything, but I haven't told it that this is where it should run. So to do that, I'm just gonna go up, like before actually my class is created. I'm gonna say void. Right. I'm gonna say main. Open brackets. And then I'm going to do an equal sign and a greater than. And I'm going to use what's called run app. So run app basically says, Flutter, the first file I want you to run at runtime is the name of the class I just created, which is my app. Right. So this tells Flutter that at runtime, run this particular class. Right. Yeah. So I hope that's clear. Cool. Thereafter, I have to create a login class. So to do that, I'm just going to go to project. I'm going to right click my lib. I'm going to go to new dot file, and then I'm going to call it log in. I'm going to call it login. Then I am going to declare a stateful widget this time, right? Like this. So in fact, should I start over? Yeah, you know what, guys, let's do it from scratch. Let's do it from scratch. Let me not be lazy. Let me do it from scratch just to explain to you guys exactly how I did it. So first and foremost, we have to import what's called material dot dot. This gives us access to all the different material design elements for our application. So just import that. Then declare a class. I'm going to call it login, and I'm going to extend a stateful widget this time. Right? It's going to give me an error because I'm missing the what? the build. But guys, okay, now watch. With a stateful widget, it is a little different. It is a little different. You need with a stateful widget, you need to create a state first before you can have a build function. So what I'm gonna do, right, is I'm gonna come down here. I'm actually gonna declare a state, right? I'm gonna call it log in state. It's gonna extend a state, right? Because I'm creating a stateful widget. So state takes a parameter of type stateful. So can you guys see anything that's a stateful, that's stateful here? Yes, login. So I have to pass the login parameter here. And I just press enter. Cool. So after this, it's going to give me an error. I'm missing a concrete implementation. So I just have to create a build file like this, and it's going to do this basically. So what I've done here is I've created a build method. So whenever this class is ran, it's going to say, okay, what is it? It's a stateful widget. Let me just show you. So I haven't created my state yet. I haven't made reference to so this is my state, right? And I haven't made reference to it. So I have to create a state, and to do that, I say create state and press enter. No, sorry, nope, not enter. You would actually say login state space, then you would say create state. Create state, right? So create state equals greater than sign underscore login state, just like that. I just want to make sure you override this. Actually, I just want to make sure you override that. And yeah, basically this is the core of a Flutter page. This is the very, 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 very core. This is what you need at minimum to have a running page. It's not so bad, eh? Just literally 6 lines of code, and this is what we need. And then from there we can start coding. As you can see, I created a state, type login state. This is login state. Login state then executes my build function. What's inside my build function? Nothing as of yet. So with my build function, remember how I told you we have to return a widget. So we delete that throw implementation, and we'll return. For now, I'll just return like a text field. So this is also a widget, text. This is also a widget. I can press Control, hover on it, and I'll actually see all the different options I have again. Right? Cool. So we can actually run this and see. Oh, okay, so I have an error here, guys, and the reason being is because I didn't close that first and foremost, and I did not import my login class. So Flutter doesn't know what this is because I haven't imported it yet. So to do that, I can take my mouse, hover on it, click on it, then I'll press Alt Enter, and I'll have these options, and I'll just click Import Library, and then it will basically import to this class I just created. And yeah, that's that. Let me just try and run the application. Okay, just hold on. I'm just trying to run the application to show you what we have so far, guys. So just give me a moment to run. Okay, but anyway, while it runs, did you guys see how that cross disappeared here? And that's because I did add this line here. That's why that cross disappeared. Now Flutter knows, oh, what file is my main ... Okay. Okay, cool. So it's gonna run. It might take a little bit of time actually. I don't know if I'm gonna wait for it. It's gonna take some time. So in the meantime, let's do this. Guys, remember how we are actually trying to build. Let's go here. Remember how we actually try. This is what we're trying to build, remember. So we have an image, we have a text field, we have another text field, we have a button, and we have a little text box here that says sign up here, right? So this is what we're trying to do. Cool. So what I'm gonna try and do now is I'm gonna try and run what we have so far, so you guys can see, and hopefully we'll be able to duplicate what we've added. In the meantime, create an asset folder while my application is running. Create an asset folder. So you do that by coming to practice or whatever you named it. Right click, new directory, give it a name, and name it assets. After you've created assets, take a picture, any picture. In my case, I downloaded that cool calendar picture here, and put it in this asset folder. Once you put it there, you're not done yet. You actually have to go to your pubspec.yaml and tell Flutter that you've added a new asset. So you come here, right? And so you won't see this. I added this earlier on. But what you'd do is you press tab, go all the way to the bottom. Make sure you're at the end here. Press tab once. Oh, what am I doing? Press tab once, then type assets, colon, press enter, hyphen, space, then say assets and the name of your asset. So in my case, it's called calendar.jpg. Here's it here. Calendar.jpg. Thereafter, you'd come and you'd click pub.get. So pub.get basically tells Flutter that, look, a new asset has been added. Please add this asset to my Android and my iOS folder. That's what pub.get does. It basically, like I told you earlier on, it injects all the packages, all the assets into the two frameworks, Android and iOS. Once you've done that, now you have access to your asset. Cool. So just coming back here, guys, I just want to show you it runs. I just want to show you what we have. I ran the application. You run it by pressing this play button here. So you have play, you have debug. You're not going to use this. This you'll really use. You'll have hot reload, which allows you to very quickly to implement and refresh your app on whatever you're running, an emulator or a phone. Yeah. So this is what we have so far. So it's not very pretty at all. It's nothing like we expected. As you can see, it's a black screen. It has a debug here, and it has this text that says hello. So the reason being is that this is at its core only a text element at its core. This is how it would look like. So now the problem with that is that we haven't given our text element a parent. And that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try and give it a parent, and giving it a parent will give it styling that it will inherit from. So in Flutter, we have this thing called a scaffold, right? A scaffold is basically a container that has preset patterns already, or preset designs that you can make use of. So I'm going to press enter, just close it here at the end. And I am going to say type. Do I have title? I am actually going to say body, right? Body. So body is the children of scaffold, the scaffold widget. So whatever goes into my body would be the child of a scaffold. Yeah. So I would say, now let's say text. Does it take a widget, right? Yeah, it takes a widget. And I'll press my hot reload and come here. And can you see how now it's white? And look what happened to my hello. It actually went all the way. I don't know if you guys can see it. It went all the way to the top left of my icon. This is because I haven't necessarily center aligned it. I haven't given it a size. I haven't done anything to it. And hence why I told you that scaffold allows my children to inherit from it. So hence why it's changed. The text widget is inheriting properties from the scaffold widget. So now let's say I want to center align it, right? So I'm going to introduce a new widget to you guys. This is called a container. A container contains my code. It's one of the widgets you're going to be using most often. A container takes a child, right? So I just have to say child, and thereafter I'm going to give my container a child. So another widget that's cool that we have is called a column, right? Guys, so when dealing with Flutter, right, make sure you neatly indent your code, or else it's going to be very hard to read. So you do this by going here, clicking enter, 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 and then coming all the way back up. Every time you declare a widget, press enter so it looks like this. It just makes your code much neater to read. Okay. Thereafter, I would say main axis alignment. So now what I'm trying to do actually is I want, as you saw, my hello is here at the left. I want it to come here in the center. So to do that, I use main axis alignment. This is like center aligning. Then I would say, so guys, remember, if ever you don't know what parameter it takes, you scroll here and it will tell you that, okay, it takes a type of a main axis alignment. I would then say main axis alignment dot center, enter. Right? Cool. I'll also use what's called cross axis alignment. What parameter does it take? It takes a type of cross axis alignment. So it's very intuitive, actually. And then you have all these options that you can use. So if you have time, just play around with them just to see how your code reacts to all that. But I'll use cross axis alignment center like this. Okay, cool. So I've declared my column. So now my column, what do I want to go inside my column, right? So now I would have to use the children's property. Remember how we can add children to our widgets? This is how we do it. So a column and a row have children. What you do thereafter is you come here, press enter, and you can start adding all your cool little widgets, and they'll be neatly stored underneath each other because it's a column, right? A row would be stored horizontally, a column would be vertically. So now let's say text. Hello guys. All right. So basically this is a hello world application. I'll press that button there. And there we go. Can you see how my hello has came to the center now? And yeah, that's basically what we were trying to do. So great. We are getting somewhere. Yeah, we're getting somewhere. Okay. So now, guys, remember how we want to create a login page. So the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to add an image, right? So to do that, I have to say image.asset. So I say image.asset, and then I need to pass the path of where my image is. And in my case, it's assets. What do I call my picture? Calendar, right? Calendar.jpg. So this will now add my image to my page. So if I had to refresh and come show you guys, there we go. See, my image is now added to my page. Right? Cool. What's next? So now I need to add 2 edit boxes. So I do want some space in between my edit box and my image. So to do that, I'm going to use what's called a sized box. A sized box is a way of padding your code. So if I want space in between my image and my edit box that I'm going to create, I'll use a sized box. Sized box takes 2 parameters basically. It takes a width and a height. So I'm going to use the height so that I have space. It's like an invisible box basically that you won't be able to see. And I'm going to give myself a space of 20.0. Right? So now I've given myself a space. There's a little, so it's not going to go directly underneath each other. Like it's not going to, they're not going to kiss each other basically. I'm going to have a little bit of space in between my next component. So now to add, every time you want to add a new widget, guys, remember to look at where your brackets end and then add a comma. Then you can press enter. Now you can add a new widget. If you want to add a parameter to a widget, you would come here, you'd control, hover, see what different widget parameters you have. So let's say I wanted to add a width, right? I'd say 20.0 here, and then I'll say comma again. So now I've added a parameter to this particular widget. But like I said, I'm not I'm not going to be making use of it. What's next? Okay, I want to add an edit box. So to add an edit box, you have two options. You can either use a text field or a text form field. So in my case, I'm going to use a text field. Press enter. So guys, this is a text field. Let's just run it and show you how it looks. Here it is here. As you can see, I added a text field where I can type information into. So this is if I ever want to capture the input of a user. But it's not looking too good. I mean, it's okay, but I want it to be circular maybe. I want to add a little bit more flavor to it. So I'll just show you guys how to do that. So text field takes a parameter of type decoration. And now we need to actually see what does the parameter decoration take. I'll hover on it. It takes a type of input decoration. So I have to use the input decoration parameter, right? Click here, enter, enter, enter. So now I have to style my input decoration widget. I press control again. Guys, even I forget sometimes, eh? So don't be scared always to refer back to see what different options you have available to you. So I have quite a lot of stuff. Text style, hint text. I'm going to use hint text definitely. What does hint text take? It takes a string, right? So I'm going to say email. I also want to style my hint text. I don't just want it to say email. I want it to be a little cool, you know. So I'm going to say hint style. What does hint style take as a parameter? It takes a text style, right? So what do I have to type? Text style. Go inside the widget, and I just want to change the color. So hover. There's the color. I have a color parameter I can make use of. So I'd say color, and I'd say colors dot white. Right? Cool. Comma. So I'm done with the hint style now. What else do you want to add, guys? What else do I want to add? A border, maybe. What type of border? Oh yeah. An input border. Did I do something wrong? Okay. What does it take? So I'm not too sure what border takes. It takes an input border. Okay. So if it takes an input border, okay, so this is a little different with input border. I actually have to use what's called an outline input border, right? I have to use what's called an outline input border for the border parameter here. Once I've done that, I'll just add a border radius to my outline input border. So border radius, right? So I'm just going to click. Oh no, yeah, my computer's lagging a little bit. Sorry about that. Border radius dot all. And what does it take? It takes a type of radius, right? So I'm going to say radius dot circular, right? Because I want circular edit boxes. Then what does radius take? It takes a type of double. And I'm going to say 20.0. So yeah, so basically what I've done, guys, is I've given my text field a hint text of type email. I've styled my hint text. So this email, I've styled it and I've made it white. I've added a border as well, a circular border of outline input border. I have border radius here, and then I say border radius dot all, and then border radius dot all takes a type radius. Then I have to say radius dot circular, since I want my edit box to be circular, my text field, sorry. and then I'll say how circular do I want it to be. So the higher I take this number, the more circular my edges will be, but I'll show you what I mean. So let's run it. And there we go. Can you guys see how I now have a circular edit box? How cool is that? Let's just delete it. Yeah, how cool is that? So yeah, I know for a fact with Android, if you had to code this on Java, to get your edit box to be circular would take you so long, guys. You have no idea. So I've literally done something that would have taken 50 lines of code, and I've done it with 2 lines of code here, right? So it might seem a little confusing, but trust me, it's much simpler if you had to go through the traditional native route. What I'm going to do, guys, as well is I'm going to add another sized box. Sorry about this. Let's add a full color as well, just before I finish. Let's add a full color as well. Colors.white. I'll just add a full colors.white 70. Let's just add a full color. So I think this is going to change the outline of my box, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Okay, cool. What else do we need to add? I think that's it. Maybe fold. Let's add a fold parameter as well. Yeah, let's add a fold parameter as well. So let's see how it looks now. Okay, looking much better. And okay, let's say false. Actually, let's say false. Okay, sweet. Okay, so guys, once I've done that, I am actually gonna say comma, enter. I'm gonna add a sized box. Give myself space again, 20.0. So I've just given myself a little bit of space, right? Then I'm gonna copy this again because I want to add another text box for the password field, right? And I'll just change this and say password. Refresh. Cool. And I've added a new field, password. So I don't know if you guys can see, but you cannot necessarily see the text of my hint, right? It's supposed to actually say password and email here. So the reason is because I made the color white. So just change this to gray or black or whatever you want to change it to. And you'll be able, sorry about that. Sorry guys, my bad. Yeah, you'll be able to see the text. It's because I did not change the color. So just go up here and change the text style to gray. And then hot reload. And yeah. So guys, it's coming along nice. It's coming along. We are starting to have something that's tangible, that's feasible. For those who can't see, can you see how the background of my picture doesn't necessarily match the background of my app? It's like I just put a square picture. So what I want to do is I want to change this to white so it all blends in, right? So to do that, I'm going to go up all the way to my container, right? This is so my container is a parent of column. Column is a parent of image.asset size box text form field and all this. Everything is very nested in Flutter. So I want to, if I change the parameter of my container, it's going to change how all these other things behave. So in my instance, I want to change the background, right? So I'm going to say colors.white. Why? Because I want my picture to blend in. Cool. Can you see now it's not as gray as it was? Now it blends in very nice because I changed the color to white. Okay, cool. So what else do we want to add? Let's add a button maybe that says login. So we do have a couple of options. We have what's called a raised button. A raised button. So this is a button in Flutter. So I'm just going to run it without actually doing anything and you'll see how it looks. Okay, so this is how a raised button looks. The reason why it's gray is because I haven't necessarily given it all its parameters as of yet, but I'll do that. But this is how my button looks without any styling, without anything to it. So now, raised button, make sure you use the parameter that's called on pressed, right? Make sure you have on pressed, pressed, open, and then just do it like this. So basically this means this is a function, and I would put any of, if I, tomorrow you guys will actually see that we'll actually put backend code in this little section here. But for now, since we're just dealing with the UI, I can skip that. After on pressed, I want to add a child. Why do I want to add a child? Because I want to add some, I don't want my, okay, let me actually do this and show you how it works. So because of that on press, now this button should turn, you see how it changed color? Yeah. So now, let's just change this thing's color actually. What color should we make? Let's make it blue. Right. Cool, my button is now blue. Let's say I wanted to say login. To do that, I would use the child feature. Almost every single widget has a child that you can add to it, right? So I'll say text, and I'll say login. If ever you're confused, just scroll here and you'll see that it takes a widget. Something I did wrong is I always used to put text here instead of putting a text widget. Whenever you want to put text on the UI, you don't just put a string, you have to use the text widget. Text widget is like a label in HTML and for those who've used C# and all that. Okay, let's run it. Login, there we go. So now it says login. Let's say I want to change the color of my login, right? What I'll do is I would have to change the, I'd have to add a parameter to this widget. And to do that, I'll say comma, style. What does my style take? It takes a text style, right? So I'll say text style, right? And I have a lot of options here. So the ones I usually use is color. So now I'm changing the color of this particular widget. I want it to be white. And there we go. It's white now. So cool. Guys, it's coming along nicely. We are slowly but surely building our login page. So that's very cool. What else do we want to add? Let me take this a little bit down. It is very close to my password, right? And to do that, we remember what's called a sized box. Can you see how it went down a little bit? If you want to take it more down, just increase the value of the sized box and it will go all the way down. You also have the ability to use padding if you don't want to use the sized box. So it's all up to you. Now guys, what I want to do now is I want to add a little place where they can go sign up. So this is the login page, right? What if they don't have an account? Where do they go? I want to send them somewhere for them to sign up. So I'm going to add something that's just says like create account or something. And to do that, I'm going to say comma. I'm going to use the sized box again to give myself space. Thereafter, I'm going to introduce a new widget to you guys that's called a row. A row is very similar to a column. Very, 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 very similar. It's just that a row it works horizontally as opposed to vertically. It doesn't line up things, underneath each other. It lines them next to each other. So I'm going to say main axis alignment again, because I want to center align it. I want everything to be in the center of this row. Then I'm going to say cross axis alignment, center as well. So now I will comment them out to show you how it looks without it, but just Hope you're following so long. I'll use children again. So now I can add children to my row, right? So in my case, I said I want to add a text box that says don't have an account. Let's just see how it looks. Don't have an account. So I want them to click this in the event I don't have an account. Can you see how this is center aligned, guys? This is what these 2 lines of code does. The axis alignment. It basically just always center aligns my code. Without it, can you see how it goes to the left? Because I commented it out. So yeah, so just use that. So we're winning. Let's add another text field that says sign up here, but this time I want to make this text field blue. So I'm going to use style, text style. I'm going to change the color. And I'm going to say colors.blue. So this is going to only change this one to make it blue. I'll just refresh and show you guys what I mean exactly. There you go. Can you see how it says don't have an account? Sign up here. So they can go create by clicking this thing. I haven't necessarily linked it to any page. We'll be doing that tomorrow. But yeah. Guys, so basically that concludes our lesson for today. Yeah, I hope you guys were able to learn a few things. Tomorrow we'll be covering the back end. Again, guys, sorry if my energy is a little low. I was just disappointed because it didn't record the first time. So this is the 3rd time I actually do this video. So if my energy is a little low, just know this is the 3rd time I'm doing this video. Just because of technical reasons, things not recording, sound not being there. But I hope you guys were able to still, find value in this video. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and I will see you tomorrow. We'll be dealing with the backend tomorrow. I hope I was able to cover everything again. And yeah, see you guys. Peace out from the Spaanify team. Peace out from the Qubit team. Peace out from the DSC USCT team. Cheers.